Hello, hello, hello. Today I would like to talk about imposter syndrome, which is another factor that we delve into the Good Girls No More program. I mean, it's a fascinating but also very painful topic. And over the past few weeks, we've been exploring the complex layers of the good girl conditioning with topics I have presented in my online program, Good Girls No More. And of course, I will continue to present those topics. So we will focus on today imposter syndrome, which is actually one of the most common challenges that many women face, and especially good girls, feeling like an imposter in your own life. And imposter syndrome is this sneaky companion that kind of whispers doubts in your ears, fears and insecurities. Imposter syndrome makes us question our accomplishments, our skills, our capacities, our worthiness. And it can hold us back from embracing our brilliance and fully stepping into our power. Now, imposter syndrome is a complex psychological phenomenon that can develop as a result of many different factors. One big factor, which I always like to look at, comes from childhood experiences. And they could be being heavily criticized, facing high expectations, or a big one, of course, is receiving conditional love. These experiences can shape our beliefs about ourselves and also our abilities, which is, of course, where we then get to the questioning our abilities, leading to self-doubt and the fear of being exposed as a fraud. Now, imposter syndrome can also be reinforced by so-called attribution bias, where we attribute our successes to external factors. It could be, oh, I was just lucky, or I was in the right place at the right time. Put it down to timing. Or we internalize our failures as personal shortcomings. This distorted perception leads us to discount our achievements and attribute them to external circumstances rather than recognizing our own capabilities. So in the program, each module is part teaching and part sharing, and we shared in an open forum. So as we were able to build quite quickly a very trusting container, the women were able to share their experiences with the other program participants, and they started realizing they weren't alone in their struggles with imposter syndrome. And I think that is important with anything any challenges that we're dealing with. We get so stuck thinking that I'm the only one that feels like this, or I'm the only one that deals with this. And the great thing about being in a group program such as Good Girls No More is that you get to hear other people's stories. And then you realize, oh my God, I'm like that, or she's like me. So the women really connected with each other in ways to create support, encouragement, which also helped them to challenge then the negative self-talk that was coming up, perpetuated by imposter syndrome. So I wanted to just share a couple of examples of some of the insights and experiences that were shared in this module. So one of the women, she talked about embracing authenticity. And she said that she was discovering that imposter syndrome thrives when she hides her true nature, and she hides behind a mask of perfection and conformity. So basically, you're showing one face to the outside world, but that's not how you're feeling. That's not the reality of who you are. Let me rephrase that. It's not the reality of what's going on for you in the moment. And she shared, by embracing her authenticity, she discovered the courage to show more and more up as her genuine self. And of course, having the sharing space in the group really made a big difference. To practice in the group so that she could then go on to do that in her life with more courage. Starting to really feel that her worthiness really lies in being her true self, not perfect or whatever she felt that others needed her to be. Another participant talked about starting to recognize her accomplishments. And she saw that imposter syndrome had often blinded her to her achievements, the thing that she had been able to create and build in her life. And this often then caused her to dismiss her successes, often, oh, I was just lucky, as we talked about earlier. So through the program, all of them, but especially this woman, she really learned to acknowledge and celebrate her accomplishment. And I even got them to brag, which is a fantastic structure to just celebrate yourself. And understanding that their hard work, skills, and talents are deserving of their own recognition. And finally, one more woman talked about that she was starting to really just embrace growth, embrace learning. So imposter syndrome can often make us feel like we're faking it, right? And that we don't deserve our achievements. However, this participant discovered that growing and learning, they're ongoing processes. And when it came to the imposter syndrome, she started creating some what are they called? Mantras, let me call them mantras, to remind her about that growth was part of life's journey. It was an ongoing process. Even that it was okay to make mistakes, even if that was a pretty tough pill for everyone in the group to swallow. And also she saw that embracing the journey of continuous improvement was also enjoyable. So as a result, she actually shared this week that she agreed to speak at a conference in front of hundreds of people. I don't know when it is, it's coming up, and that was something she would never have dreamed of doing only a few weeks ago. I mean, she said she's super scared about it, but the fact that she said yes, despite all the stories she was telling herself in her head, was a really big step. So maybe you can also, let me invite you to reflect on your own experience with imposter syndrome, feeling like a fraud, worrying that you're going to be found out. Maybe you can spend some time to reflect on your own experience with imposter syndrome, if that's something you recognize for yourself. How has it impacted you now in your adult life? And what steps can you start to take to reclaim the truth of who you are and banish this imposter syndrome within? So one small step you can do is actually to start melting the imposter syndrome is to practice self-affirmations. Practice of self-affirmation can really help counteract the negativity and the self-doubt associated with imposter syndrome. So by consciously focusing on your strengths and reminding yourself of your worth and capabilities, you can gradually dissolve the feeling of being a fraud and embrace your authentic self. So with that, I hope this was helpful. And I would love to hear what came up for you just by writing something in the chat. And there we can continue the conversation. So from my heart to yours, I wish you a beautiful next few days. Until next time, bye for now.